Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over the new mechanic added in version 4.3 of potions. Potions apply to pretty much all of the weekly related events that last for a limited amount of time, specifically for those events, and they apply to basically everything except for Guild Wars. Raids they apply to, invasions they apply to, the class event, pets, the faction event, which is probably the most noteworthy thing, bounty hunter, everything like that they'll apply to. Basically, they are a new function added in version 4.3 of Gems of War that makes it a little bit easier for newer players to be able to get these game modes completed, as well as mid-game, late-game, and end-game players being able to complete them in a more timely manner. One other side effect that this will also allow is, while this is not the main fix that they were adding to be able to do this, it is technically possible do level 500 pure faction with any of these class events, or with any of the faction events that end up occurring for that specific faction, simply because the very last potion basically gives you infinite stats if you were to go and spend a bunch of gems on it. Do keep in mind this isn't really that cost efficient, though it is technically possible. And of course it would be even harder on a Tuesday event compared to doing it on a new faction event like this Friday, where you'd have all 3 days, all weekend to basically do it. But the potions are, to my understanding, the exact same order for every single one, so let's just go over them real quick. Potion of Enchantment. This will put enchant onto all of your allies. This will give you 2 mana per turn to all of your allies until they end up casting their spell. So this will be good just for a little bit of mana burst, and it's super cheap on every single one of the first ones. This one is also pretty good and also pretty cheap. It explodes 4 total gems. Keep in mind that this is not 4 per troop. It is only 1 per troop. That description right there doesn't really clarify it, but it will do 1 explosion per every troop you have. And if you're in something like, let's say, Delves, where you end up losing one of your troops, you will only get 3 explosions, because if one of them dies, you will no longer have that 4th one onto your team. But yeah, this can accumulate a lot of mana, works exactly like many of the Cinna Mirage troops, where it just does that 1 explosion at start of battle, except literally everything on your team gets to have it. Other than that, we get our Potion of Rejuvenation. This will heal for 3 hit points every single turn. Assuming they have damage, this will not give you 3 life every single turn, but it will only heal you back up if you happen to have taken damage specifically to your HP on any troop. Other than that, we have Potion of Armor. It has a 25% skull mitigation. I do forget which way it orders, but do keep in mind it is multiplicit, not additive. And what I basically mean by that is, let's say you have 75% skull reduction with Gurgoltha, and then you have 25% skull reduction with this. That will not be 100% score reduction. It'll, I believe, do the 75% score reduction, and then it will do 25% reduction of that 75% reduction. It will not completely negate it out to 0. So if you have 25%, it'll lower it by 25%, then another 25%. But basically, they did not add together. 25% will not be 50% reduction. It'll be a little bit less than that. And that applies to any 2 mitigations. However, it does stack with other means of mitigation. So if you already have something like some kind of score reduction, it will go on top of that. It's just multiplicit instead of additive. Other than that, Bless. Bless did get buffed a little bit with the immune to transform, though in many game modes that is pretty much irrelevant. Other than that, Bless does apply basically impervious to all of your troops, as well as immune to mana drain and immune to transform. So it gives quite a bit of immunity to all your troops. However, if they take a skull or cast their ability, they will lose that Bless. And as oh wait, never mind. Shielding. This will put barrier onto all your allies. Of course, this protects against 1 instance of damage, like any barrier would, and that can be dispelled away, but otherwise it'll just completely negate out 1 instance of damage. And the final one, of course, which I already did show, is 7 to all stats every single time you buy this, and you can buy this infinitely to essentially gain infinite stats. Oddly, obviously you wouldn't want to necessarily do that, as that would be quite costly to do so, but in certain events this could be particularly useful, the main 2 probably being faction events, and whenever you buy out class events. Class events are normally a game mode where if you buy for a bunch of EXP, you won't necessarily do all of your sigils, just because they go very, very slow and reward you very, very little. However, if you have a bunch of stats from buying a bunch of EXP, and you just got a bunch of these potions, it will be a little bit less time consuming than it normally would, allowing endgame players to actually get some of these events down where they throw a lot of gems at. But overall, I would say this is a decent improvement, since pretty much every single section of the game ends up getting a benefit from this. Whatever packs you're already buying up to, you just gain more benefit from. And the leaderboards were already pay to win, so not much of a difference there for the most part. It'll just allow more access to getting objectives done within the game, as well as early to mid-game players actually being able to complete all of this. So real quick, let's just show a battle with this in action. We'll just go do one battle further here, and simply go get these 2 potions. So I have 2 active right now, the 4 explosions and the enchant on all allies. You can see that really quickly at the start of battle on 4 times speed, because it'll go by very, very quickly there. As you can see, we do have enchant on everything. That is 2 mana per turn, including the very first turn. So you automatically, as you can see, you have 2 mana on that. And all of our explosions end up doing their explosion, and it cascades from that. And we got all the mana, respectively. So all we have to do now is just take our mana up, get them killed at an even quicker rate than we normally would be able to. And there we go. And that's pretty much the effect of potions. It'll make everything go quicker now for these events, so they won't be as time consuming. I know personally for this event, it would normally take me about, I think, like an hour and a half, maybe sometimes 2 hours. Depends if I was really focusing on it or not. But now with potions, it could probably be under an hour just because of how much of a benefit you'd gain from enchant. And I did go a little bit further into explosions just to mess around with it and see what it could do. Normally, of course, you only need tier 1 in order to complete out a Tuesday one if you're just doing the bare minimum for all rewards. But anyways, guys, that is potions. If you still have any other questions about it, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. This is basically a new normal now for every single one of the sigil related events. And as I mentioned, again, it will not take place in Guild Wars. I am not sure if it takes place in Tower of Doom. And it does take place in some really weird one like pets. Pets you would never really need them for. Early game can easily just take it out with Meng using Titan. But I believe they did add it there for anyone who might want to use it for that. Anyways, guys, that'll wrap it up for this video. If you still have any other questions, leave it below. Thank you all so much for watching. Goodbye, everyone.